Hey everyone, here we are with the Flying with Firearms educational one-take video. When you've never flown with firearms, it may seem a little confusing and kind of like a black box, but once you know the rules, it's pretty straightforward and pretty easy as long as TSA doesn't give you a hard time. So first off, we'll go over the rules, then give you kind of a step-by-step process of what goes down, and then answer any questions that you had back when I posted on Instagram. So first, I'd recommend getting very familiar with the Transporting Firearms and Ammunition page for TSA. This has all the rules strictly from TSA. So basically, you can transport an unloaded firearm in a locked hard-sided container as checked baggage only. When you travel, you need to comply with the laws of the varying local and state laws. For example, we all know New York, California have very strict laws that may be different from the state we live in. We might not be able to bring our normal guns to those states if you're traveling there. So just be well aware of that. You need to declare each firearm each time you present it to baggage claim, and you need to ask your airline about limitations or fees that may apply. That's also something you need to do is not only know the TSA rules, but you also need to know the rules specific to the airline that you're flying, and they vary. And they usually align with what the TSA says. So it must be in a locked hard-sided container, and it also must be unloaded. TSA defines a loaded firearm by having a round in the chamber or even a magazine or clip inserted into the weapon. So when you pack your case, you're going to want to make sure that your gun is unloaded and any magazines or anything like that are removed from the firearm. Firearm parts, including mags, clips, bolts, and firing pins, are prohibited in carry-on luggage, but may be transported in checked baggage. Replica firearms, including firearm replicas that are toys, may be transported in checked baggage only. Rifle scopes are permitted in carry-on and checked baggage. So for example, I took off my Aimpoint T2 and my Surefire X300, so all those accessories like your night vision, rifle scopes, lights, etc. are good to go in your carry-on. Any firearm parts must be in your locked case and carried on. As for ammunition, ammunition is also prohibited in carry-on and must be transported in checked baggage. Firearm magazines and clips, whether loaded or empty, must be securely boxed or included within a hard-side case containing an unloaded firearm. So basically, you can keep your mags and your ammo in here as long as that ammo is contained completely in a case, plastic case, a box, or even your magazines. And the one thing airlines may specify specifically is how much ammo you can bring, basically. So I know for Alaska, on certain flights you can bring 50 pounds, on other flights you can only bring 11 pounds. That's something you're going to want to check if you're flying with guns and ammo. So moving on to the step-by-step process, you're going to want to pack your case, ensuring all the rules are followed, basically. Make sure your gun's unloaded and make sure your magazines are out of the gun is pretty much it. If you have NFA items, you're going to want to bring that paperwork just in case. I personally never got axed by TSA or anything, but you never know. You just want to be prepared for that. If you're concerned about flying with firearms, you can also print out the rules, the TSA rule pages, because we've all heard the stories. TSA agents do not know the rules to the T, so you can have that ready to go if you encounter any issues. And then you're going to want to lock the case. As for case and locks, I personally have the Pelican 1700. It's the smallest of the Pelican gun cases. If you want to fly strictly with guns, I'd recommend getting just the biggest Pelican case. I believe it's the 1750. If you want to carry gear and other things like that, I'd recommend the Pelican Airline. I know Airline, those are two separate words. They have a line of cases called Air. Basically, they're lighter and meant to be traveled on aircraft, obviously, because you keep that weight down, keep you from having to pay overweight baggage fees. And it just gives you more room to put gear and stuff like that. It was kind of hard to get my rifle and my war belt and stuff like that in this case. But anyway, you're going to want to lock the case. As for the locks, I use some combination locks from Brinks that actually ended up popping off on my last flight. I'd recommend just getting a solid keyed lock, like Brinks or Master Lock. And as for that combination or key, you're the only person that can retain that key or code. Don't ever give it to TSA and don't ever give them the combination. You should always be there when they're opening your case. We'll get onto that in a second. So upon arriving to the airport, I'd recommend you get there 30 minutes to an hour earlier than you usually do. Like for example, I have TSA, TSA pre-check, so I usually get there like an hour before. If I'm flying with a gun, I'll get there an hour and a half before, just to give me a little buffer in case I have to talk to TSA or anything like that. So when you get there, you're gonna want to go to the main baggage claim for your airline. Don't go to any of the satellite or quick drop baggage claims. And when you get to the desk, you just want to say, "I would like to declare a firearm, please." It shouldn't cause an issue. The agent should be trained. Just say it straightforward. Don't cause a scene. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna give you one of these firearm declaration slips, and you just sign this, fill out the information. This is just saying that your gun's unloaded, you're checking a firearm, etc., etc. You're gonna open your case, put this slip inside of your case, and then your encounter with TSA may vary. Mine definitely did on my most recent trip. So I'll kind of go over what went down on those few separate occasions. So when I was flying out of Seattle, I checked my bag with my airline and they said, "Hey, you need to go to this TSA cubicle." And TSA had their own little cubicle set aside. I opened the case for the agent. They're gonna swab it for explosives, and she kind of looked around inside of it, make sure I didn't have anything I wasn't supposed to, I guess, and locked the case back up, and TSA took it to the aircraft. When I flew out of New Orleans, I checked my bag with the airline. They took it, and I didn't even have to go talk to TSA. When I flew out of Austin, similar process as Seattle. I unlocked my case for TSA, they swabbed it for explosives, I locked it back up, and then they took it. Now when I flew out of Phoenix, I checked my bag with my airline, they took it, and they said, "Hey, go hang out by this door for 15 to 20 minutes. If you don't hear from TSA, they don't need you, you're good to go into the terminal." So I checked my bag, hung out by the door for 20 minutes, TSA never came out, so I was like, "Hey, am I good to go?" And they said, "Yeah." One thing to be aware of is just to be listening for your name over the intercom. If they do need to come see you, you just want to be ready to go. And God forbid that you have to get out of security and go back through security if they need you. But anyway, after that, it's pretty normal. You're trusting them to take care of your bag, so hopefully they get it to the jet and get it all sorted out. And you just go through security like normal after that. When you get to the airport that you're flying to, and that's your final destination, you're gonna wanna, most airlines will send firearms and oversized baggage to their baggage claim office, not on the carousel. So you're gonna wanna confirm that with your airline. So when you land, you're gonna wanna hang out at the office, or even if you know where the oversized luggage area is, like the freight elevator they bring it on, kind of hang out there, keep an eye out for your case. When I flew to New Orleans, they actually put my gun on the carousel, which they weren't supposed to do. They were getting lazy. It was the last flight of the night. I told Alaska, and they ended up giving me a $75 travel credit. So it really wasn't that big a deal because I was there and ready for it, but just something to be aware of. If you don't see it in the baggage office, kind of be watching the carousel in the office at the same time if you can. So moving on to your questions that you had. The first question was locks and ammo. Like I mentioned, I'd just get a lock that is reputable, like Master Lock or Brink's keyed lock, and kind of the shortest you can go while being able to, shortest ring you can go while being able to get on your case. Ammo, you can bring ammo on the plane, you can check it, it must be in a hard-sided case, it must be in a box as well, it can be in mags, it just can't be in your gun. Moving on to your second question, do you need to provide serial numbers? That is a no. Nowhere in the rules does it say that you have to provide serial numbers, even with NFA items. That's kind of just an ATF thing. Number 3, have you ever flown into an anti-2A state with a gun? California, New York, etc. The answer to that is no. If I did, I would definitely follow the rules. Even though there's a law protecting you from interstate travel while carrying firearms, there are plenty of stories of people flying into New York with guns that aren't legal in New York and then spending a night or two in jail and having to deal with that. That's just really a hassle and probably money that you do not want to deal with. So just follow the rules of the state you're going to. Number 4, can you carry on ammo? I answer that, no, you cannot. It must be checked in a hard-sided case. If it's not in a hard-sided case, it must be packed into a container or the box it came in, or a magazine, and it must be put in that hard-sided case. Number 5, Do they care about laws regarding what firearms you have? Stay compliant. So TSA didn't really ask me that, as especially with NFA items, all states have different laws. But again, I would not risk it if you're flying to one of these anti-2A states. I would definitely not risk it. I would just follow their rules. And what case to use? Again, I use the Pelican 1700. It's just the one I bought initially when I got my gun. If I had to do it over again, I would get the Pelican 1615 Air. It's lighter, it's more room, more volume. I can put more gear and throw my firearm in there at the same time. Number 8, can you put your case in your suitcase? So yes, you can definitely do that as long as it's checked. So for example, if you're just flying with a handgun and you just have a small hard-sided case, you could put your handgun in that hard-sided case, lock it, and then put that case in your suitcase as a check bag. So that's pretty much it. I would just recommend, again, being very familiar with the rules of not only the TSA and your airline, showing up early, and just having your stuff squared away. That's pretty much it, guys. If you have any other questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments below. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you later.